this place we call sanctuary. Come on, let's honor the praise and worship team who has done a magnificent job on tonight, ushering in his presence. We've come to lift up the name of the Lord and to magnify and exalt the Lord tonight, this Wednesday night, in our Bible study, where we come to be instructed of the Lord that will empower us and equip us for what He has for our lives. I am just excited when God speaks to us, engages us, and continues to turn His light and direct us with His guiding light. I'm just glad to be saved, y'all. I'm glad to have a hunger for His word. For it says, "He who hunger, thirst after righteousness shall be filled." I'm glad that I'm thirsty and hungry for the right thing. I want His word. In these times in which we live, the old songwriter used to say, everything's going down but the word of God. And I'm glad that I still have a mind to receive His instruction. Amen. Those that have your Bibles, we're back at 1 Kings chapter 19. I preached on it Sunday. I got done preaching on it and left here. I said, you know what, I need to revisit it. Because I really want to make sure we gather the fragments of what God is releasing. It's like after He did the miracle, He said, go gather up the fragments, gather what's left. Because if we just get excited about what God is doing and we don't really grab it all, then we miss out on some things that continue to strengthen us. Because I believe He came to strengthen us. The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So if He's given us strength, that means there's some stuff I'm going to have to do after I get His word. And I know we just want His word to cause it to be automatic, but there's some times that we've got to be willing to put our effort after we receive the instructions of God so that we can arise to the occasion. I know last week in my absence, Elder Turley was talking about growing your faith. Faith is such a necessity in this walk that we have with Christ. He tells us that without faith it's impossible to please Him. We quote all of those fundamental functioning scriptures. And tonight I want to stay in tune with faith. And I want to talk about the faith to shift. Do you have the faith that makes it possible for you to shift? We use that with great intent, in an intentional way. But I want the kind of faith that helps me shift, make moves, move in another direction. Or anytime you shift and you had a 5-speed, it meant that I was gaining ground. That if I want to cause another level of acceleration, I just can't stay in first gear. I just can't stay in second gear. But as I'm making progressions, there's a shifting. Some of y'all done forgot how to shift because y'all living a life where all you had is an automatic car. But if you knew the shift, you had to hear it at a certain time. Where you know, you had to know when to shift. Now that luxury has understood that fundamentals of shifting, sometime now is an added luxury. Now in the new luxury car, they have option now. You can shift when you want to. Yeah, it's on 2 levels now. Now they have it where you can be automatic, or you can hit when you want to shift. And now they done got where you ain't even got to shift that way. They put it on the stern wheel. Where you got. It's amazing because now shifting is an upgrade. Here in 1 Kings chapter 19, I want to kind of rehearse some of the same verses in which we read on Sunday, but I want to take my time and really squeeze some things out of it. Verse number 18, now again, you're dealing with Elijah. The power to be a voice for God means you have to have a divine relationship with God. A divine relationship with God is something that we admire, but I don't know if we count up the cost that it takes to be that kind of instrument, to be a voice that God is willing to use. Means you have to put yourself in a position where you're accessible and available. And in this life that we live, folks want God to be accessible to them, but I'm not always confident that people want to be accessible to God and available. Elijah, we know, went through some strenuous difficulties where he's doing the will of God, and doing the will of God puts him in a place of attack. Sometimes to teach the word correctly, we've got to balance how being used of God sometimes doesn't put you in comfortable positions, even though it's purposeful. You know, and that's probably for mature listeners, because sometimes we just want the hand of God, but we don't understand having the hand of God can put you in attack places or make you a target. And sometimes we need to teach it correctly, because we keep saying, man, if I was only connected to God, doing the will of God, then it would be easy. Not always. Because sometimes when you really become determined to do the right thing the way God wants you to do it, you're going to have to go through some things. And I know that's not the popular teaching, because everybody wants to hear how easy it becomes, how you don't have to go through anything. But can we be honest and say, I can be doing the will of God, being used of God, and everything is coming at me all at once? And that's to discourage you, to make you feel like you're not doing the will of God, you're not following the ways of God. If I had time, I'd pull Job and let him testify to you that you can be upright and eschew evil, and you can be on the enemy's hit list. But grace be to God who gives you victory, that even when things are crazy, you can remain sane because you're sold out and you're available for the Lord. Okay, Elijah is dealing with what I just said, being used of God, yet being attacked. And he's in a place of frustration. And he feels like he's all alone, because during the time of his testing, he did not receive what we would call visual support from someone else who was in the same classification. Because he has not seen visual support from somebody who is in the same classification, he makes a self-diagnostic view, and he tells the Lord, I'm the only one. He's evaluating it from his perspective of awareness, and he feels like there's no one else. Because if it was somebody else, surely by now there would have been some visual support from another prophet, even though Obadiah has told him that, man, I hid 50 prophets. I hid 50. In chapter 18, Obadiah tells him, I hid 50 in a cave. But now when Elijah's going through at Mount Carmel, and now Jezebel is threatening to kill him and he's on the run, he says, I don't see anybody that's in the same classification that I'm in. I had some fake folks who was of the prophet of Baal. They were trying to say they were real prophets, but they weren't. They were destroyed at Mount Carmel. And I am the only one that's left. And he's speaking to the Lord and saying, I'm the only one, because I am, from my self-diagnostic perspective, there's nobody else. So we come to verse number 18, and here the Lord has to let him in on something. He says, yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which has not kissed him, which is to express to Elijah that there are still some others that have not taken down. More so in an encouraging fashion, an encouraging perspective that I use to kind of get strength from. When I look at it from what the Lord is saying to Elijah, is to let him know that there is still more left than you can see. Because at this point, Elijah thinks he's the only one left by his self-diagnostic view, that there's nobody else in my class or category that's doing what I'm doing. I'm all by myself. But the Lord is saying, I still have 7,000 that still are like you, that have not given up. The power is, he had 7,000 that had not given up, but yet while Elijah is going through, the Lord didn't deem it necessary to expose to him that there were still others left, which meant on the level that he was on, he didn't need to see it yet. Okay, I need y'all to understand that the level that some of y'all have been on, there has been a lot more that God had that you have not seen, but where you were at was not a place where he needed to reveal it yet. That's encouraging. I'm telling you, that's some encouraging, powerful stuff. To know that while I was going through, I thought I was all by myself. God had 7,000 that he could have sent in to encourage me. Even though I felt bad, I still didn't need that level of encouragement where I was at, because where I was at wasn't strong enough to totally drain me. It may have caused some discouragement, but it didn't drain you. Did y'all catch that? I'm going through, there are times that you can be discouraged, and we sometimes equate discouragement as to being drained. There are times that you go through stuff and you're like, oh Lord, I wish I had some help. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. And God says, I know that's what you think you need, but believe you me, by my divine authority, you have enough to make it through. And the reason I haven't showed you more people, the reason I haven't showed you more stuff that you think that you by yourself, is because you have what it needs, what it takes to make it through this without me revealing all that I still have. I still got 7,000 like you. So if you were in something that you really needed backup, best believe I could have sent backup. But what you were in, you had enough to handle it by yourself. Because even you're saying, I'm all by myself. Well, if you made it through all of this by yourself, then you should shout, because you're stronger than what you were up against. Because had I sent help didn't make it. I made it through. I didn't have this appointment. I didn't have that one at my graduation. I didn't have that one at my birthday party. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a bike. But I look at all the stuff you didn't have and you still made it. And now God said, I had all of that, but you didn't need that for that level. That's powerful diagnostic truth. Because he says, I still have 7,000. I still have more than what you think. So don't think where you are, that's it. That's heavy too. Because I never want you to get so surrounded with your situation that it becomes a blanket to where it smothers your faith. Really, what you've gone through should be fuel for your faith. Okay. So he says that, and then we come into verse number 19, which is good. Because this is where we see an exposing explosion. It is in this, he says, so he departed thence and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yokes of oxen before him, and he with the 12, and Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle upon him. I'm going to go slow because I really want you to gather the power of faith that causes you to shift. He just heard that there were 7,000 that had refused to bow down. So now he's moving into another dimension. Because the Lord says there's still something you haven't seen, because I have 7,000 that have refused to bow. So that means there's more than what you can see. Look at your neighbor and say, there's more than what you can see. There's more. More than what you can see. Okay. So he's now functioning in a realm where the Lord just exposed, man, there's more than what you can see. Because I got 7,000 that haven't even bowed. Understand that my authority is greater than your understanding because I have more than what you can see. So after hearing that, he's moving. After hearing the Lord tell him, I've got more than what you can see. See, when you get the right word from God, you should not expect supernatural things to happen because he just let you know it's more to it than what I can see. No, I need y'all to catch this. He was just feeling down because he thought he was the only one. And the Lord just told him, I got 7,000 that haven't even bowed down. So don't think that you've seen everything by your situation. You just got a word from God telling you, man, there's more. Woman, there's more to it than you can see. So now when you walk, you got to walk believing that there's more to it than you can see. So don't get surprised when stuff starts happening that's beyond your understanding and even your expectation, because the Lord just told you there's more to it than you can see. You just said you were by yourself, and I just told you there was over 7,000. There's 7,000 haven't bowed down. I'm letting you know right now there's more to it than you can see it. The last level that you were on, you didn't need to see it on. I'm only going to show it when you come to a level where you need to see it. There's some stuff you'll never see because you're at a level where it doesn't need to be exposed. It's only when you make another move that it moves God to show you something you didn't need, that you didn't see in the last level, because that level didn't make the demand to release it. But your next move can make a demand to release something. There are moves you can make that will make a demand to release something. Try me and see. Try me and see. Cast that bread on that water and see if a few days you won't find. Some things you have to be willing to be intentional. And watch what the intentional movement will bring about. Because he just told you it's more to it than you can see. Are you following me here? Okay. So now he departs this and he found Elijah, the son of Shaphat. Anytime I hit this Sunday, and I need to rehearse it, because sometimes in context, we miss the significance. Anytime we see a person and they give a historical line from which they came, they're giving us information that this person didn't just occur to this, but there has been a lineage, there has been a developing process, which is so good because God knows how to shift us from faith to faith, glory to glory. For Elijah to be the son of Shaphat tells me that he's been through a season of development. He's been through a season of covering. He's been through a season of mentorship. For Elijah to have his father's name mentioned, or the father to be mentioned with Elijah, it's telling me that he came from something. It means a lot when God can begin to show you what you came from to set you up to where you're going. Some of us need to be honest about where we came from and quit trying to hide it, because it's what we came from that has positioned us for this moment. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm glad for where I came from. I'm glad. It's Shaphat, which is to do with the Father. Anytime we deal with the Father, we are dealing with the authority. We are dealing with the one who gives identity. We're dealing with the one who gives name. This is heavy because anytime we have someone who has been through the process of identity, after they've been through the process of being named, where they've been able to watch who they're supposed to be being modeled, it creates a system of understanding. That means I'm used to following something. That's the problem, I believe, with this generation. We got people who are growing up that have never been mentored. They've never seen anything modeled. So they've only learned by mistake. They've learned by frustration or what not to do. It's good when you can learn what to do because you saw it done before you. We talk about the negative, but let's some of us shout about the positive. I'm glad I've had some things modeled in front of me. I'm glad I've had somebody live right in front of me. I'm glad that I've watched somebody pray in front of me. I'm glad that I've watched the power of praise in front of me. I'm glad I watched the worship in front of me. I'm glad that I had Sunday school. I'm glad I was in VBS. I'm glad, see, some of y'all don't get it. It's glad when you got a generation that has been fathered, that has been developed under something, because it can cut out a lot of the craziness. Okay, so here we have Elijah, who is the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with the 12 yoke of oxen before him. Again, let's digress in context so that you can stay true to the time. It's in 1 Kings chapter 18 that you have to remember that this region, this area, had been in famine. They've been in famine. You can't forget this. You're dealing with a region that had been in famine. They had been without rain. They had been without the necessities to do normal procedures or normal practices. When there's no rain, there's no farming. When there's no rain, there's no sowing of crops. Because if there's no release, then my assignment can't be activated. Come here. I can have knowledge, but if there's no release, there's no movement in my knowledge to be activated. I can know how to farm, but if there's no ground that is ready for me to sow seed, then my knowledge of what I know to do will be held hostage because the atmosphere is not set for me to act out what I know to do. Y'all not helping me in here. There are some of you that you know you've been called. You know there's an assignment on your life. You've just been waiting on the, I wish I had 3 people, I know it's Bible study. You've just been waiting on the right atmosphere. Because without the right atmosphere, you can't do what you know you've been called. Are y'all with me here? Okay. So for 3 years, there's been no rain. Now Elijah comes into place where he gets down the release where Ahab If you don't know it, go ahead and read chapter 18, where he goes after he has the showdown on Mount Carmel. He says, I hear the sound of abundance of rain. So for 3 years, there had been no rain in that region. But now there's rain. And now that there's rain running into my text, you've got Elijah, who had been trained under his father on how to plow and how to farm. But because he's been through a season where there's been no rain, it has opened his understanding that sometimes you got to be open to a shift. Because some of the things I've been counting on, if the atmosphere is not set, I'm not going to be able to do it. Y'all better catch this. And sometimes God has to change this atmosphere to get you out of your usual. Because had the atmosphere never changed, you would have been committed to your usual and you never would have been open to something new. But after your usual have been changed, after what you've been used to doing have been held up, you realize you gotta learn how to do some other things. I wish I had help in here. That's why when the economy shifted and folks had to reorganize their perspective on their ability, when factories started closing, people went back to school, they learned how. You never would have learned all that you could do had it not been for the shift in the atmosphere. Okay. So he's trained as a farmer to know atmosphere. Atmosphere is so good, it's very significant if you're a farmer, because you got to know what atmosphere to plow, what atmosphere to sow seed. Timing. Timing is everything in farming, because if I sow it at the wrong time, the frost is going to get it. If I sow it too early, I'm going to miss the right season of rain, and I'm not going to get enough water for the harvest to come. Are y'all with me? So what happens is, we find that Shaphat, who is the father, meaning that Elijah has been used to following, because his father's name is there. Are y'all with me? He's used to following because he has a father. If you have a father, mentor, show, discipline, all of those things come under the role of having a father. He's now plowing with 12 yokes of oxen before him. He with the 12, and Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle up on him. To cast, and I taught on this and I want to go back over it. Whenever we deal with casting, it's a unique movement because it's a release, it's an aim release of purpose, really. Like in fishing. Fishing, you cast the net, you throw it out with anticipation to catch something. Yeah, you cast. Somebody needs to catch this next season. You ain't casting a line, you casting a net. That's another message, okay. He cast the mantle, meaning to throw it over him. A mantle was a unique garment that was not tailored. A mantle was more not like a robe, but more just like a shawl. It's like a shawl, almost like a cape. It wasn't tailored, meaning had it been a mantle that was tailored, it would only fit Elijah. But because of how it's loose, it fits whoever it comes on. Okay, it's not a fitted item because in that position it requires movement. And anything too fitted can be restricted. And it doesn't leave room for growth. Oh, okay. I remember before I got married and I thought I was getting big time, I ran into a tailor in Cleveland. And he started tailoring my suits. And tailoring suits is nothing like it. But you can't wear a tailored suit if you're going to keep growing. in that region where you got fishermen, you don't cast not expecting to receive anything. I don't cast a net and don't look for something to follow what I cast. Y'all better catch me there. You don't cast a net, you don't cast something and not expect for something to come back. But in farming, when you deal with casting, casting can mean that there's something in the atmosphere. You know, like there's a what's in the four? Cat, come on. When you listen to the meteorologist so that he can give you this week's four. He's a farmer, and a farmer is very sensitive to what's being cast. Because if he doesn't know what's being cast, he can be wasting his time. And his time is always directly related to his finances, which impacts his harvest. So you can't be a farmer and take a casting lightly. I'm going to go down another street. See, whenever you know that you've been created to go to another stage in life, in performance, before there's a performance, there's always a pre-casting. It's where those who are interested come here to be part of the next performance. You better have this cast calling where you go there because there's a time when they give you an opportunity to prove that you're ready for the stage. I wish I had 5 people here. See, oh, God help me. So, he's casting. And this man said, I'm being cast. The problem is that Elijah is not remembering that he's getting ready to see more than what he could see. Because the Lord just told, I got 7,000 that haven't bowed down. Meaning, there's more to it than you could see it. You just couldn't see it on that level. So he's coming into a new level, and he didn't even know he was in a new level. Until things start responding in this level that's different than the other level because he's doing something in this level. Some of y'all are at a new level, but you haven't done anything new at this level than you did in the other level. That's why it still seems to you that it's the same level, but really it's a new level. But you don't know it's a new level because you haven't done anything new at this level to show that it's a new level, and you're treating your new level like an old level, but you've been in a new level for the last 30 days. I feel like teaching somebody. Y'all holding your head. Look at your neighbor and say, that's too much, that's too much. You mean to tell me I've been in a new level, but I didn't know I was a new level because I've been treating my new level like an old level, and I haven't done anything new in the new level? Absolutely. In the new level, he cast it, and he got it back. But you don't cast without expecting to catch something. See, some of y'all been doing stuff to reap more, but you haven't been expecting more. You take a fisherman out of that casting net, they're looking for something to happen. You cast your mouth, and you're looking for everything than what you casting for. Let me do what the meteorologist and deal with the casting of a plane, and I'm going to do my text. A meteorologist does a forecast, deals with perspectives. To cast means to see beyond. I'm forecasting that tomorrow's going to be 80 degrees. You know, they don't know.
Right.
But from where they are and the knowledge they have where they are gives them insight to what could be. By the pressure, by the way the earth is, by the position of the sun, all of that plays into the environmental pressure and all of that. It's to kind of see. To cast for production means that I look at you and say, you'll fit this role. You'll fit that role. Or you're not ready for this production. We'll call you back when we got something else. But the Bible says that the God that I serve,
Okay, sir.
he knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb. So when he brought me to this moment, it wasn't a forecast. It was predestinated. That means my place was designed with me in mind. I cannot believe that. That's why you have this movement in text where he throws the mantle on him, and immediately we see a result. Verse number 20. He left the oxen and ran after like this is so heavy because he's running. I talked about that Sunday. When the right thing interrupts your routine, it will cause a different level in your response. When the right thing interrupts your routine, it will cause a different level in your response. When the right thing interrupts your routine, it will cause a different level in your response. When the right thing, interrupts your routine, it will cause a different response. I'm going to say it 2 more times. When the right thing interrupts your routine, it's going to cause a different level in your response. You can't fake this here. He leaves the oxen and he's running after Elijah. Because what he's running after has now ruined his routine. He's not, I can't go back to this. He's plowing. And that's always paramount because God is not in the business of having you waste your good seed. Plowing is a prerequisite before sowing. What he does is God's plan of purpose, how we set up the next stage for the next stage. He's plowing, which means to create openings. The problem with some of you, God didn't send you to that place when he leaves it better than he started. So whoever comes behind him doesn't have to start breaking it up. It's ready for it to be sown in. See, y'all don't understand. The next dimension some of y'all going into, it's not going to take what it took on this level. But if you finish your job on this level, the people who come behind you, they're going to have to say, I'm so glad I came behind you because I didn't have to do that. I'm leaving it wide open. Okay. He leaves it open because he plowed. He didn't sow seed, he just plowed. So he leaves it open. Meaning the ground now is ready for who's ever going to plow, who's ever going to sow seed. But he ain't going to waste his seed there because his harvest is going to be in another dimension. So whatever you sow, you reap. But there's no sense in me sowing in this level because I'm going to another level. I don't even open it for who's ever at this level to sow at this level and work this level, but I'm going to another level. I'm going to leave it open. Okay, let me go deeper. If you understand anything about plowing, plowing deals with leaving a path. Not only am I leaving an opening, but I'm going to leave a straight path. Because anytime you plow, you don't plow crooked. Come on, y'all looking at me crazy. You plow a straight path. I'm leaving a path. Leaving a path, okay. He's now in transition in mind, and now it's going to be acted out in behavior. Give me another 5 minutes and I'll leave you alone here. He said, he left us out there and ran after Elijah and said, let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother. Look at your neighbor and say, know how to respond. He responds with affection, but he's not going to let the affection put him under arrest. It's like when Ruth had 2 daughters, Naomi and Orpah. And after her sons had died, she said to them, y'all go ahead and leave me now. I don't have no more sons. I ain't mad at you, y'all young women. Y'all gonna get married again and have babies. Oprah did just what Elijah did. She kissed her and said, I'm out of here. This is a kiss of affection. But my affection is not going to put me under arrest when I know there's still something in me. Now this is so paramount because in order to really appreciate this, that's why understanding that he had a father is significant for Bible truth. Because when you deal with Joel chapter number 2 verse 28 and Acts chapter 2 verse 17, and this is probably as far as I'm going to get. Are y'all getting anything out of this? Joel, chapter number 2. Joel, chapter number 2. Let me get there. The scripture. We're in Bible study, so we got to read scripture. Joel chapter number 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your what? Shall prophesy. Old men shall dream dreams. And young men, what? This is written, catch the context, to the parent. Read it. Your what? Sons. And don't come here. What does it say? Your? So it wouldn't be written to the son and the daughter, but it'd be written to the parent. Because I told you, your sons and your daughters. That means when they come to a point where they say there's an assignment on your life, don't you put a lid on it and disqualify it and try to contain it when I'm activating something in them that I let you be part of during the raising. So that's why there's no animosity. He said, let me go back and kiss my daddy and my mama. That means I don't have to go and explain this. They raised me right.
That's good.
See, when you've been raised right, when it's time for you to go, they release you. You gotta help me. If you know you raised your kids right, you done taught them everything they're supposed to know, and it's time for them to be on their own, you might cry, but you don't try to keep them in the nursery when I wish I had help in here. After you raise them right, you say train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they grow, they will not stray. They might leave you, but leaving you don't mean they left God. Because look at your neighbor and say, you got to have the faith to shift. Another 5 minutes here. Text on that becomes paramount because there is no argument. There is no tension I don't see in the text with the father and the mother. He says, and then I will. Follow you, verse number 20. After it says, let me pray thee, kiss my father and my mother. Then he says what? Then I what? See, that means he's been under good training. Good training can be noticed when you can see good fellowship. If you've been under good leadership, you don't have a problem following. Come here. The only reason people get skeptical of following anybody is because the last leader they've been under was abusive.
That's good.
If you've been under good leadership, you're almost naive to how dangerous a bad leader could be. Come here. That's why he said immediately, let me go kiss them. They gonna understand because they raised me right. And I'm coming back to follow. I come back knowing my role is to follow, not to lead. But you got something on your life that is pulling me out of my routine, and I want to follow this. The problem in ministry now, we've got folks that want to come, but they might not want to follow.
Pastor.
He said, I'm coming to what? And because he understands that there is a different realm of following what he's going after, and what I love, Sister Renee, he doesn't try to make his old level fit in with his new level. That's why he doesn't take anything from his old level to the new level, try to make it usable in the new level, because sometimes you're trying to teach the teacher instead of being taught and being the student. Oh, let me stay there for another 2 seconds. I'm going to leave you alone. The Bible says, he said, let me go back. Kiss my father and my mother, and I'm going to come follow you. He goes back, and he knew how not to take what was on that level, that was necessary for that level. He didn't try to take it to the next level. This is, oh God. Ooh, I need to say this for a moment. He destroys the oxen. Most of us would have saw how that was done this level won't fit in at the next level. And you've got to be okay with that and say, you serve the purpose at this level, but at my next level, I'm not going to need that. Okay, even though he's a farmer, he's very observant. Because how did he know he didn't need an oxen? Because when he threw the mantle, he looked back at what came on him and he said, that didn't have an oxen. I wish somebody had enough faith to hear a testimony from somebody else and say, if you did it without that, I know I can do it without that. See, where is somebody that can testify and say, I used to drink, but I went to church one night and I don't drink no more. Is there anybody that can testify that can say, if God did it for you like that? I wish I had 3 people that would high-five themselves and say, if God did it for you, he can do it for me. I ain't trying to be a copycat, but I believe the same God that brought you out is the same. Y'all are sitting. I won't leave y'all. He doesn't bring the oxen because he said, you ain't got no oxen. Well, I gotta have more. You saw me working with the oxen, but that doesn't mean I need the oxen because you threw it on me while I was working with the oxen, but you didn't throw it on the oxen. Somebody needs to get delivered tonight. Some things are on you. It's not on what's been attached to you. There's some stuff that's been attached to you that God is saying, you don't need that, I need you. You might think I need this and that, but if you just are open to be used by me, some of that stuff you've been using there, you ain't gonna need it. He doesn't take the oxen, y'all. He doesn't take the oxen. He doesn't take the oxen, y'all. He left the oxen. He left that. Because I don't want anything distracting me. You got to know what to release when you know God is rescuing you from that old level. You know what I mean? You got to know what's important when you're being rescued. Because some of us are being released, but then some of us are literally being rescued. Because if he didn't come at this phase, you would die doing that. Do you know how powerful that statement is? If God didn't come, some of us are wise enough to call it a release. But some of us are so bound to it, it's a rescue.
That's good, sir.
If God didn't rescue you, you would die doing that. Because everybody else in your family died doing it. Grandpa died doing it. Uncle T-Ray died doing it. Aunt Jemima died doing it. Our family don't quit that. We do it till we die. The whole city knows where we die at, because we die doing this. But he was rescued. See, I need somebody to be rescued. See, when you're rescued, you're so happy to get out. You quit worrying about everything you leave behind. No, see, y'all. God forbid you get in a house fire. All you cared about is the living thing. You ain't in the house of the fire department that you want to say, get out here. Let me go get all the baby pictures. Then I don't have to remember this. I wish I had 5 people that would say, I'm being rescued. There's some stuff I like real good in this house. I had my favorite suit. I had my prom dress. But guess what? I'm getting rescued. It's going to have to burn up before I let everything come in. I'm not going to die with it when I can be I wish I had help. But when you don't have the faith y'all like that teaching, and I hope you've got to have the faith. Look at your neighbor and say, you need the faith to shift. You'll be surprised how many people die doing stuff they could have been released from 20 years ago. But they weren't aware of the forecast. It was cast on them. Somebody might be watching me even by internet tonight, Bible study. You should have been here if you could watch me. If you're within driving distance. Maybe on your job break, and I'm not angry, but you've got to have the faith to shift. There's some things in your life God wants you to come out of. You've got to have the faith to shift. You hear it. You can keep it in first gear as long as you want to. But the RPM's gonna start going up and you never gonna gain no more. Will you please shift?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, if I shift, it's gonna choke out. No, you going too fast, they're gonna choke out now. It takes coordination to shift.
Yes, sir. It does.
It takes coordination to shift. It's easy. You have that right kind of coordination. When you first start driving the stick, you're like, man, I ain't gonna never be able to do nothing but just drive this. Then you learn how to you drive the stick.
Come on, Pastor.
Because once you get on the right highway and you shift all the way out, it's all set, isn't it? You shift more in the city. Some of y'all are shifting so much because you had too much stop going. You know what I mean? Right when you get to third gear, you back down. I need to get you out in the country where you got a straightaway. That's where you learn. Don't be intimidated to shift because the assignment on your life is too great. Living Word, we're coming on 9 years this Sunday. Our assignment is too great to stay in second year. It's too great. It's too great. 9 years. We're too great to be in second year. We ain't even hit it yet. We still in stop though. Still. Get one thing, fix something else.
Come on, sir.
We gotta love each other better. Appreciate each other better. Be committed and connected to the kingdom better. That's phase one. Paying tithes, being faithful to who God is to you, and showing it by how faithful you are to Him. That ain't even deep stuff.